Hi again, I hope you followed the previous video where I presented to you the map that you're going to build in this section. So that was a web map, and as you may realize, to build that web map, the default Python installation is not enough. Because logically, Python cannot have every possible functionality by default, because if it had all the functionalities, then Python would become very heavy. Therefore, it's a smart choice to have external libraries that you may choose to install or not. And this is the case of web mapping. So to build the web map that I showed you in the previous lecture, you need a library, a third-party library, which is called Folium. So as you may realize, you need to install that library. Now, just a note, I had some previous videos about this section, some old videos, but I had to change them, so I'm recording new videos now. This is a new video, updated video, and all the next videos of this section, because Folium had made some changes in the code compared to the previous versions, therefore I had to remake the videos. Now, this time I'm using a Mac computer, but that will not make any difference. So if you're on a Windows, Linux or Mac, everything will work exactly the same. The only difference is the way you open Atom, of course. So on Windows, please create an empty folder where you'll be keeping the files for this project. So my folder here on Mac is mapping, and on Windows you can hold the Shift and right click, and then go to Open Atom here, to open Atom in this folder. On a Mac, you can press Command space Atom, and then go to View, Developer, open in Dev mode, and then locate the folder and click Open. And yeah, that's it. I'm going to close all this. Let me open the terminal, and now go ahead and install Folium. To do that, you need to type pip install Folium. Normally you'd have to do this on Windows. On Mac, if you have 2 installations of Python, you may need to do pip3. So that will explicitly say to install Folium for Python 3. So Folium was installed successfully. If you have a message saying that Jinja 2 is required for this package, then just go ahead and do pip3 install Jinja 2. However, I expect that Folium will install Jinja 2 by default, as it did for me, so it should be good to go. Once you've done that, I'm going to open Python, actually Python 3. On a Mac, you need to specify Python 3 explicitly. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a basic web map. And I'm going to use a Python interactive shell for that, so that I show you things around. So try to import Folium. If you get no errors, that means Folium has been installed successfully. Now, how does Folium work? Well, everything spins around a so-called map object. So the very first thing you need to do once you import Folium is you need to create a map object. So I'm using a variable to store that map object, and then equal to Folium.map. So this is the class that creates this object. If you want, you can actually check dir Folium to get a list of available objects that you can use on Folium. So here is map. Ignore the others for now, we'll go through them later. You can also ask for help now, Folium.map, to see what you can pass to this map object. Create a map with Folium and leaflet.js. So what Folium does is it actually produces, you use Python, so you write Python code, and that Python code will convert automatically to JavaScript and HTML code and CSS code. because you need JavaScript, CSS, and HTML to create web maps. You cannot do that with Python code directly. So the browser reads HTML, CSS, and JavaScript and renders the code of these three programming languages to elements, so like text and lines and points and pictures. So that's what Folium does. And that's a wonderful thing that you can do that with Python, through Python. Anyway, you can look here, down here in parameters. You can pass a location parameter in here. And you can specify the width. Anyway, if you don't specify the width, a default width of 100% of the browser area will be used. So you don't have to pass width and height as well. And then you have tiles. Default is OpenStreetMap tiles. So tiles is the background of the map. You're going to see that in a minute. You have other parameters as well, which you can look by yourself, I believe. Okay, I pressed Q to exit the help, and let's go ahead and create the map object finally. Folium.map. So location, you need to pass a location parameter there so that the map knows where to open. So it may open, let's say, near Alaska or near Greenland or South Africa. We're talking about the initial view, but then you can zoom in and out. So let me pass a random location. Locations, by the way, are given through coordinates, and by default you need to pass geographic coordinates, which is latitude and longitude. And so latitude ranges from -90 to 0 to 90. So let me pass 80 there. By the way, this goes inside the list actually. So 80, a comma, and then the longitude. The longitude ranges from 0 to -180 and 0 to 180. Let me pass -100 and close a bracket. So you pass a list of coordinates to location. And actually that's enough. You can have a map object with that. Execute, you don't get an error. That means everything is working fine. So now you have a map object, but that's just an object inside Python. You haven't translated that object into HTML and CSS and JavaScript code just yet. So what you need to do next is point to that map object and then use the save method and then pass a name for the map file that will be created. And of course the maps will be created in HTML format. So HTML is what contains all these elements that render on the browser, so text and visuals and so on. Close the bracket, execute, and as you see, a file was added in here, map1.html. But let me go to the folder, double click that, and that will open in your default browser. So this is just a random location. I don't know what it is. Migan Island. And that seems to be in Canada, very north of Canada. Yeah, this is it. This is the web map. If you zoom in, you'll see more details on the map, like that. So the more you zoom in, the more elements you see. Yeah, that's what I wanted to show you. And if you want another location, you'd want to change the coordinates in here in location. But if you don't know what coordinates your favorite place has, then there may be different ways to discover that. But a quick way is to go to maps.google.com. Let's say you want to know the. Let me zoom in here. You want to center the map around this location. So right click there and go to what's here, copy these coordinates, copy those coordinates, or if you cannot copy them, just remember them. So 38.58 approximately, and minus 99 times 09. Okay, then you need to save the map again, map1.html, and that will override the previous map. So go here, reload, and you see now we have a different center of the map. And of course you can also play around with the zoom, so you can add a zoom parameter in here. This is called the zoom start. Let's put it at 6. Don't forget to close the brackets in here. Okay, execute. Upper arrow key to call a previously executed statement, like map save. Well, you can also choose to go to the browser and reload with Ctrl R or Command R, and that will show you the new map with another zoom factor. And yeah, that's about it. Try to play around with this a little bit, and in the next lecture I'll show you how to add points to this map. I'll see you there.